Hey everyone, this is my run on Gentle Fist Lufenia Plus, which is the stage featuring the release of Ursula in DFFOO global version of the game. And on this stage, I will be featuring Machina with his BT Plus and blue high armor because I did actually token for his BT weapon on this event. I didn't actually get his BT on any of the multi-pools, so token it is. And I'm very happy that I did it because Machina hits like a super high powered truck carrying a load of nuclear explosives. I will also be including a detailed description and setup in the video description so you can check it out if you have any questions. So coming to this fight, what I did at the start is the reset until Noctis goes first, and that's very important because he needs to buff the entire party with Warpstep to keep the turn count low. I had Noctis use Jack LD call to debuff the boss's defenses, and then I end his turn using LD, which gives both Selphie and Machina 2 turns of Warpstep. And that's very important. So on Machina's turn, I have him use just the Kurasame base call to ice enchant himself and to apply hero debuff, and I'm actually hanging on to the LD call for a little bit later in the fight. And I have him use his LD to apply his Spiral Linchpin debuff and then end his turn using BT Plus right here. Likewise on Selphie, I have her use her wall to buff the entire party, and I ended her turn with the Keiss LD call and her own LD to apply the Rapture debuff on the enemies. This means that on Machina and Selphie's turn, they've already depleted the Warpstep buff, so on Noctis' turn, I use his LD again to reapply Warpstep on everybody. Now the next part of the fight is that really just setting up to prepare for a huge burst mode with Machina. To achieve that, what I did is I first use 1 or 2 turns while Warpstep is active to use Machina's HP burst attack, because you really only need 6 turns of his burst aura when you go into burst mode. So he starts off with 8 turns, which means you can have 2 turns dealing some nice damage before you go into BT mode. And the other thing also is that you want to apply Rapture again with Selphie right before you go into burst mode, and you also want to use the Kurasame LD call right before then. So firstly, I just had Machina use his HP burst attack to eat up 1 turn, and then I had Selphie use Drain. It's very important not to use any instant turn attacks with both Machina and Selphie here, because they will eat up the Warpstep buff on themselves. So when Machina had 7 turns remaining of his burst aura, I had him use the Kurasame LD call to ice enchant the entire party, and I ended his turn with the HP burst attack. This brings his burst aura down to 6 turns. And on Selphie's turn, very importantly, I did the LD to reapply 4 turns of Rapture. Now at this point, I am run out of Warpstep on both Machina and Selphie, but I still have 1 more LD with Noctis. However, at this point, setup is complete. I have the Kurasame LD call aura active, all the bosses are debuffed with 4 turns of Rapture, and this is where I will bring in the Cloud of Darkness support. To keep the turn count at 1, I had Cloud of Darkness use the additional ability twice on 1 boss to break the boss and get a free turn. To take note here, when you do this, you need to target the boss with 4 turns of Rapture, because Cloud of Darkness will take down the Rapture debuff by 3. Alright, so I triggered a free turn with Cloud of Darkness here, and I end her turn using her BT+. So with this, really, I've finished my preparations for so-called optimal damage during Machina's burst mode. Alright, that's it. Let's go to burst mode with Machina. So he has 6 turns of his burst aura, so I'll be doing his HP burst attack in every single turn that he has. Because the bosses are debuffed with Rapture, and Rapture actually doesn't tick down during burst mode, all of Machina's attack will also cause a massive launch, And on top of that, I will also get a follow-up attack with Cloud of Darkness after every turn. So 12 million damage, which isn't bad. I know it's possible to go up to 16-17 million with a more optimal setup, but having Noctis in play means that I do have to make some sacrifices here and there. So anyway, here I will be popping summon soon to keep the turn count at 2. Right after Machina's burst mode, Cloud of Darkness did have a free turn, so I have her use her LD to cause a break. And here I just use Keiss LD call on targeting my Cloud of Darkness so that she will be able to launch on her next turn. So since I'm out of Warpstep, Selphie's turn here will trigger a turn count increase, so I popped my summon and I used her LD to end her turn. The goal inside summon is to actually just get some turns of damage with Machina and his HP burst attack, and also to allow Cloud of Darkness to finish her friend unit turns so that Noctis can come back into the field and reapply Warpstep on everyone. So here comes Noctis, and this is where I use his last LD and give everyone 2 more turns of Warpstep, and this is really meant to be able to finish off the bosses without increasing the turn count. So right here on Machina's turn, I did make a mistake. Machina actually has 1 more turn of Warpstep, and I could have ended the turn or the fight using his HP burst attack, and even if the boss is alive after that, Noctis could have finished off the boss with his free turn. Unfortunately, I hit Awakening, and right after that I realized that the Awakening would have eaten up the Warpstep buff, which means that I now have no choice but to Awakening until the end of the fight. Anyway, that's the end of this fight. I really loved using Machina here, and I'll probably be using him a lot more. As always, I hope the video has been useful, and if you do enjoy the content, please leave a like, comment or subscribe. It really helps a lot. Till then, I'll see you guys in the next Lufenia fight. Bye!